Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Eyes Up Here. I'm your host, Lindsay Palos. I'm so happy that you joined me today because I have a really fun guest in the studio. She was Playmate of the Year. I watched you on TV growing up. Model, now animal rights activist, environmentalist, businesswoman. I want to hear all about your life. This is Jayde Nicole.
Hey, that was a really big introduction. I don't know if I can live up to that, but it's actually crazy because my Playmate of the Year is 10 years ago today.
What?
10,
today?
Not like today, like this year. It came out in June. So
wow.
But isn't that crazy to think? Someone mentioned it and I was like, oh my God, I feel so old.
Wow. No, I really first watched you on The Girls Next Door, and then I saw you on The Hills, and then I stalked you for life, and then I was lucky enough to get to meet you when I moved to LA.
Yeah, I've kind of bounced around to a lot of different reality shows. It's really funny. I'd never aspired to be on reality TV, and growing up where I was, I didn't even have cable. Mm-hmm. So I didn't have MTV. I didn't even know what that was. And then I moved here and I was dating someone that was on a show. And one time I just showed up somewhere and basically got tricked into being on camera.
Wait, you didn't know you were showing up to that party? Because I know exactly the show and I know exactly the guy. It was Brody, right? And you looked so good.
I didn't want it. Thanks. Not in this one episode because I was completely not prepared and they were filming and I was refusing to be on camera because I'm no. I don't want to do that. And so we had a couple drinks and they're like, oh, we're going to this after party. And granted, I also had my Invisaligns in because, when Invisaligns were all the rage, I got them.
Wait, hold on. Let me pause. For listeners, she's talking literally about the show The Hills, the reality show crazy phenomenon, and she was dating Brody Jenner.
Yeah, so we showed up and no preparation, and they started miking me, and I was like, what's happening? He's like, it's fine. I'm like, I have to take my Invisaligns out, so I had to hide and take my Invisaligns out. It was super embarrassing.
That is so sweet.
And then I was just it was just not okay because when you don't know, you're not used to being filmed.
Yeah.
You don't prepare yourself properly. I was dancing and being drunk and stupid and just shit talk. You just don't think about it. You go to the bathroom and you don't take your mic off.
Yeah,
I'm peeing on mic.
Yes.
It was terrible. So I learned a lot of things from that first season for sure because I just was not prepared. And then I would watch it and be like, why did no one tell me these things? No one prepared me for this. So yeah, it was a real interesting start.
So they kind of dropped you into the show. Yes. And then you came back for other seasons. So that would have been more formal. So
that was the very, very first time.
Wow.
So then after, obviously, that everyone had a conversation about what was going on moving forward. And the other times I knew that I was being filmed. But yeah, I knew I was being filmed then, just not beforehand. So yeah, it was a crazy experience.
Oh my God.
And then we did The Girls Next Door was kind of at the same time.
Yeah.
Because I was living at the Playboy Mansion then.
Oh my God, so sick.
Girls Next Door show was really fun.
I love that show.
Me too.
I really love that show. How was living at the mansion? Oh my God.
It was really fun. I think that it's not how people perceive it to be. Everyone's everyone that lives there sleeps with Hef and everyone that is a playmate, you have to go. And I'm like, no, when I lived there, he had 3 girlfriends. Mm-hmm. And he was loyal to them. He didn't hook up with anyone else. And none of the playmates hooked up with him. And I lived on property for the first couple months. And then I moved to the Bunny House, which was our, the playmate house across the street. That was just a big mansion full of hot chicks.
Sick.
It was really fun. It's cool. I'm kind of socially awkward and I'm not great with people. So it forces you to get to know people and it was fun. I made a lot of friendships that I still have till today. So,
oh my God, I bet.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, people always think, a Lothario or someone like Hugh Hefner, that everyone has to hook up with him. What do you think makes a woman want to hook up with a man? It's not going to be some sleazy guy who is making you or it's not a requirement. That doesn't make girls want to be your girlfriend.
And this is the thing too, is Hef was such a boss and he was so sweet. When I first met him, he's such a gentleman. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have that creepy come on to you vibe.
No.
It wasn't like that at all. Girls were going after him hard all the time. Every party there was girls lined up wanting to be in there and he was kind of it's totally the opposite of how people perceive it to be, where he's oh, you can be famous if you're my girlfriend. No, if you shoot and you get approved, you're a playmate.
Yeah.
If you want to be a girlfriend and aggressively, go after that, then sometimes it works out. But the two of them are not one and the same.
Oh my gosh. So wait, so you're from Canada. Let's go backward.
Yes.
Tell me about how you got to LA.
So I had been modeling since I was pretty young. When I was a kid, I modeled for a bit and then I stopped. I started again when I was about 15. And when I was 20, I got booked on this like last minute car show job, SEMA in Las Vegas. It's like a huge car show. And I think I was 18 or 19. So I flew down and I was like signing posters, the standard stuff. And for me, it was super fun. It was my first time to Vegas. I'm like from this small town. Like I wasn't even old enough to gamble or do anything, but I still just like loved it. It was so beautiful.
Oh my God.
And a photographer approached me and was like, hey, like, do you ever do shoots? And I'm like, no, I'm from Canada. Like, I don't live here. And he's like, oh, like, call me. And like, how many of those you get, especially like at the beginning. So
before
I was just like, exactly. This was before like all social media, basically, like MySpace days. And I was like, not really interested. And then he had started sending all these models to the booth to like tell them like tell me how he was such a great photographer.
Oh, that he was legit.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay. Like I had like 4 girls come over that were like super beautiful and like showed me pictures he had taken.
Yeah.
And so he hired me for a shoot and it was in the Florida Keys. So of course I was like 100%. And it paid like $1,000, which like at the time was like so much money. I was so excited.
Yeah.
And while I was there, he was like, have you ever thought about shooting for Playboy? And for me, I'd never seen one before. I thought it was like porn. I was like, oh my God, no, like that's pornography. Like of course not. I'm like always super like modest. And like I'm the person at the gym that would like change in the bathroom stall like back in the day. And then he's like, no, like that's not what it's like. Like, let's, look at one. And he showed me some photos he's taken. He's like, plus if you, submit and they don't like you, you don't even have to make the decision.
Yeah.
And so I was like, all right, like whatever. And so he submitted me and I'll never forget because I was like at home. I still lived with my mom. I was like vacuuming in the house. And they called me. One of the head editors was like, we want you to fly to LA and stay at the mansion and shoot. And I like almost had a panic attack. Wow. And I told my mom and she went out and bought me my first Playboy ever because I'd never seen one.
Oh my God, cute.
She went out and bought it and we looked at it and it was really pretty. It was actually Sarah Underwood's.
Love.
She's so gorgeous.
Perfect.
Her pictorial was beautiful. This is her Playmate before she became Playmate of the Year.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, fuck it, whatever. My mom literally was like, you're only going to be young and hot once. So like take advantage of it. I was like, wise words, Mom.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. She's a smart woman. So yeah, that was it. So I flew down and I shot. And while I was shooting, I got approved for Playmate. And they're like, we want you to come back in 2 weeks to shoot. And I was like, having several panic attacks.
Oh my God.
But it was a great experience. I mean, it was so legit. The studios that they shot in were like insane. There was like 14 people on set doing like lighting and
I love that.
styling and like hair and makeup. There's just like so much going on. And yeah, it was really cool. And so
you were super young.
Yeah, well, I was when I shot my first one, I think I was 19.
That's baby age.
Yeah, I was young. And then I was 21, I think, when my other one, my Playmate of the Year came out.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a good long Playboy career, kind of.
Yeah, I mean, it gave a lot to me. I mean, I literally would not be living in Los Angeles without it. So like some people look at it and like, oh, do you regret doing it? I'm like, of course not. I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know the people I know. I wouldn't, be in this position that I am doing what I am now if it wasn't for all of that. So I'm extremely thankful for it.
Oh, I love that story.
Yeah.
And you really banked off of it. So you were on Girls Next Door, Playmate of the Year, which is huge. Don't you win like a ton of money?
Yeah, you get $100,000 and a car and like a bunch of other like stuff. I got I used to play the guitar, so I got like a really cool custom Playboy guitar and just like a whole bunch of other cool stuff. But then you travel the world for a year, basically doing like appearances. Back in the day when that was like such a huge thing.
It was huge.
It was massive. So I went from Australia, Dubai, London, Ireland, all through Canada, all through the US, Bahamas, like everywhere. So I got to see the world, which is amazing. And partied like crazy.
I bet.
I mean, I was 21, 22, so it was like so much fun. And I used to always say that I would never move to Los Angeles. Even when I was here, I was like this like small town girl. We had like 2 traffic stops where I'm from. And so like the traffic would freak me out, and having to like get a taxi places, like it just stressed me out. And I remember literally getting stuck downtown one time and calling the mansion, like bawling my eyes out, being like, I don't know where I am. Someone please come pick me up.
That is so cute.
It was awful. And then I started dating someone that lived here.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm just going to move down, and just literally packed up all my stuff and moved here and never looked back.
That is the sickest story I've ever heard. Like, that really is iconic. And especially for me watching you on TV, you're like living my dream, which is amazing.
Well, thank you. It was a lot of fun. There was a lot of really good years, but it's getting better. I mean, what I'm doing now and everything that we've been working on for the last 2 years is like my pride and joy of like everything that I've done, over the last 10 years. So
yeah, I want to hear about that. So I want to hear. So you have this outstanding career with Playboy. You moved to Los Angeles. You appear on the Hills. Like, what happens next?
So I got into hospitality, and I opened a nightclub. I was 24, 25.
Wait, which one?
AV.
Oh, I know. I have heard of it.
It was awesome. It was like some of the best years of my life. It was very, very successful. And so I retired from modeling, quote unquote. I quit my agency and did a whole retire because I was an investor. I was an owner. I was also a boss. So it was really hard being like this 24, 25-year-old woman, and also doing like lingerie, bikini modeling.
Right.
And I was working with all men. Like all the other investors were men. I was the only woman. And so it was really difficult. And I thought that would make it a little bit easier at the time. So I retired from modeling, and I fully just focused on running the business. And it was so much fun. I got to do all the costuming for the girls, all the photo shoots for the girls. I ran all our VIP services, and I was in the club every night. We had like amazing talent. It was super, super fun. And that just kind of led to a career more in hospitality. I did take it a bit in college, and it just is what I'm naturally good at. Everyone has like something like they do when they realize like, wow, I really know how to do this. Yeah. That was kind of the hospitality industry for me. So then we opened another nightclub in Scottsdale and one in San Diego, and then the restaurant Toca Madera here in Hollywood. And
big popular restaurant for all of you listening. It's like a Hollywood hotspot, and it has been for a few years. And in LA time, that's a lifetime.
So I started the influencer program there as well, which was like one of the first of its kind. It didn't used to exist like 4 years ago, where we would have, influencers and models come in, and we'd do these big fun brunches, and it was really fun. And so I became vegan about 5-6 years ago. And it's always been a passion of mine. I've been vegetarian my whole entire life. I've always loved animals. I own a dog rescue. Like, I'm just like, love animals. And the more I started educating myself when I became vegan, the more I started understanding how insane this whole world is, of how we're brainwashed to be eating meat and dairy and eggs, and like what it actually is, and what it does to our bodies, and what it does to the animals, and what it does to the planet, and like what a big deal it was that people, and including myself, I was an animal lover. I was vegetarian. I owned a fitness company. I was a personal trainer. Like, I really cared about my health.
Yeah.
I didn't even, know any of it.
Yeah.
So I kind of made it my mission not only to educate myself, but to educate others, because I was like, I wish that I had known this 10 years ago.
Right.
So I really started down that pathway, and that kind of led us to our next project, which I've been working on for the last 15 months with an amazing group of women, which is a fully plant-based restaurant. And we're 95% women owned.
Oh my gosh.
I think, which was a big deal for us. Like I said, every project I've ever been involved in, I've been like the only female investor and operator. And so when I started down this path of, okay, well, now I'm having to get people to invest in like my idea and my project. And the first thing I did was go to a couple guys that I knew that had money, and it was like, oh, super easy. And then I was like, no, I'm doing what every other person does in this business, and I don't want to do it that way. So we made like a wish list of amazing women and started reaching out to them, and most had never invested before and like didn't, know anything. And so we sat down and I kind of just like went over everything. So I'm like, my first investment, I didn't know what I was doing either. I was like, here's my money. Cool. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
Like,
cross your fingers.
And so we started down this really long process of getting this boss team of women together to run this business, and each person was hand selected and brings something amazing to the table. And so now that part's done, thankfully. I was like trying to raise money for a project is the least my least favorite part about running a business. But yeah, so now we're in the process of construction for this restaurant, and we're basically carbon neutral, which means we run on solar panels. We plant trees to offset our carbon output. All of our packaging and everything is biodegradable and super minimalistic and eco-friendly. All the products we're using to build are recycled, reused. And we're doing all kinds of things to try and really make like ethical green business, but we're doing it in a way where we make money.
Yeah, of course.
A lot of people see it where like, oh, if you're green, you're spending money. And it's like, not if you do it in the right way. Like we're doing it in a way where it's actually saving us so much money. So we're really excited for it. And it'll probably be open like January.
Holy shit,
year.
That's soon.
Yeah.
So you, in 15 months, have gotten together investors who basically never have invested.
Yes.
You've hand-selected all these women. You've constructed a restaurant.
Yep.
Oh, my God.
We're part of the way through the construction now. But,
girl.
it's been amazing. And we always say it's a Mexican restaurant. So we're always like, come in and eat a taco, save a life.
Oh, I love that.
Literally, I want to give people an avenue where they can make a difference without really having to do something huge. Because the average person doesn't want to uproot their whole life or change their whole life to, make a difference. And here you come in and you eat a meal, you really save a life. You save square footage of rainforests. You save CO2 emissions. There's just a laundry list of stuff that you help. And we also are working with this really cool program that feeds a vegan meal to a kid in an impoverished nation when you order. So it's like just from eating our food, which is amazing tasting, by the way, you make such a huge difference in the world. So I'm like, if it's so easy to save the world, all you have to do is eat a taco, drink some horchata,
oh my
have
God.
some agua fresca, some nachos, and it makes such a big impact on the world. And that's our goal.
That's really beautiful. I feel like you're so savvy because there's no way if someone told me that I wouldn't be eating there constantly all the time.
Right? I'm like, that's how I feel. I'm like, you can make a difference and eat something awesome where you could go to like place A and make no difference and spend your money and put it towards this. I always say put your money towards the world that you want. So this way people will be supporting women-owned business, locally owned business, and just making a huge impact on the world at the same time.
Oh my God. And so you're basically going into a restaurant business. How did you learn the culinary aspects of a restaurant? Like, what did you do? How did you make a menu? What was that process like?
Yeah. So all the restaurants that I've been part of that we've opened, I've been part of the curation of the menu and the drinks. Obviously there's always a chef there that like knows, the details. And you do tastings and you basically start of your dream menu of like what you want to see. And then you work with an amazing chef. We have an amazing chef. He's Mexican, he's vegan, and he's super sweet. And so we have worked with him on creating this amazing menu that also sets us up to have limited food waste, because a lot of the time with restaurants, the biggest problem financially and obviously for the environment is food waste. Yeah. So we've kind of constructed our menu around limiting that. So we have almost no food waste projections. But yeah, you just kind of, it's something, like I said, I've always just been good at and understood. And over the last, how long has it been now? 8 years of doing it, you just learn. And if you love it, you just put hours and hours and thousands of hours of work towards getting better at it. And
that's all you got to do.
That's what I do. Yeah.
You're really so savvy and smart. It's amazing. I grew up in Louisiana, and even I moved here about 4 years ago. I am being 100% honest when I can tell you I didn't know what vegan meant. And I have never met a vegan.
Yeah,
And
it's fairly
now-
common.
Isn't veganism growing by like
It's massive.
the ass loads?
Yes, it's extremely, and I hate this term, but it's trending.
Yeah.
And some vegans get mad like, oh, well, it's just a trend. I'm like, listen,
Mhm.
I don't care why people go vegan. I just care that they go vegan.
Yeah.
I don't care if they do it for the animals. I don't care if they do it for their health. I don't care if they do it because of environmental reasons.
Right.
I don't care if they do it because their girlfriend does it and
Yeah.
they are only doing it. As long as they do it, they're making a difference. But yes, it's massive right now. Every vegan company that has been created is absolutely crushing it. Like Impossible Burger, Beyond Meat burgers, they're sold out everywhere. They're just killing it. It's like taking over the world, and it's so nice to see, because sometimes when you're online, especially, and you post stuff about veganism, you get an extremely negative reaction.
Right.
And that can be overwhelming sometimes, because it's hard for us to understand why people get so mad when you're just being like, I don't eat animals and I'm happy, so you can do this. They're like, no, eat a steak, bacon. I'm like, why are you so for killing animals? Like, I understand if you want to eat animals, then, you want to eat animals. But why are you angry at someone else that's not eating them?
Right.
Like, it's such a strange thing.
I was going to ask you this exact thing. There was an article in Maxim recently. There was a man at a vegan festival, and so he's got a piece of steak, some
raw meat, raw liver. Yeah, I saw
and
it.
so he's doing that, and I don't understand what a person like that gets out of it, because that would be like me going to someone's church and doing whatever they didn't like, I don't know what it is. But like, imagine me going to someone's like place of worship or something. They're excited and enjoying something and doing the opposite.
It's very strange.
It's got to be tough. It really has to be tough to have such a specific opinion online and having people come at you for it.
The
hardest takes a brave person. Side note.
It really has, you work up to it. Mm-hmm. At the beginning when I was vegan, I didn't really talk about it very much. And it's so funny because everyone's like, oh, if they're vegan, they'll tell you. And I'm like, there's a reason for that. It's because we know things now that we didn't used to know. And we wish we had known. So we tell other people because we want other people to be educated. It's not like I'm yelling at people just like, oh, don't eat steak. I'm telling people why you shouldn't be eating it. Yeah. And it is in everyone's best interest. Like, I personally don't gain anything from you or this other person like changing their diet. They gain something from it, and the animals gain something from it. The environment gains something from it. But people feel like it's like this weird cult where we're brainwashed and we're trying to bring them over to the other side. Like we have something to gain from like them just not killing animals. And it is very confusing. So I try my hardest to focus on just educating people and not taking super offense to people that just hate people just because they're vegan. It's hard to understand.
It's completely hard to understand. It's like hating someone for anything that they believe in.
It's like hating you for having blonde hair, or like me for having brown hair. It's like, no, it really does.
It really does.
People will find any reason to hate people, but just to hate a whole group of people. And I'm very heavily involved in the vegan community. Just because you're vegan doesn't make you a good person, doesn't make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a happy person, a sad person. It just makes you not kill animals. That's literally the only thing that vegans share.
Right.
And so when you hate the whole group of people, it's like it's very, very bizarre. And I saw on the post, there was a couple about that, and people were like, well, that's what vegans do to us every day. Like talking about the guy like eating raw, bloody meat at a vegan festival. And I'm like, what? We do what? Like, I don't understand. It's so confusing because they think we're like pushing our views on them. But I'm like, this is my page. You don't have to be here.
Of course.
You could be anywhere else in the world, but this is my personal page. I'm going to post about it. And if you don't like it and you don't want to be educated, by all means, you don't have to be. You can go somewhere else.
Yeah.
But like to come on and just like be like, ooh, bacon. I'm like,
what does that serve you? And shut up.
I'm like,
and shut up.
What an educated response.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to start eating meat now. You fooled me.
It's so crazy. So you traveled the world when you did the Playboy stuff to go back. Have you been to like country America?
Yes.
Okay. So like the idea of telling country America to change their diet, or maybe this would impact the environment in a negative way. Like just telling people from, I want to say country America. I don't want to say middle America because there are amazing people in middle America and everywhere. Yeah. But God, that crowd is tough.
It is very hard. And I grew up in a farm town. My mom is still a farmer. She still lives in Canada.
What does she farm?
She has Highland cattle, which now are just free roaming because it took me a long time, but she's now vegan.
Wow.
And she's like a full
So your mom had a
activist.
cattle farm.
Cattle, chicken, pigs, everything. And now she has like a 2,000 square foot organic non-GMO garden of vegetables that she sells at her little farmer's market. And she puts them out at the end of, her farm and lets people just like take whatever they need. She does still eat eggs because she has her own chickens. But she doesn't kill her chickens when they stop making eggs. And her chickens are spoiled rotten. I've been there. They have like 2,000, 3,000 square feet of free roaming area and like multiple little homes. And they're just like spoiled rotten. So I let her have that. I'm like, if you want to, it still grosses me out because I know what an egg is. But like, if you want to do that, by all means. But yeah, it's hard. It's really hard when you tell anyone to make a change, or not tell someone, but you offer up what will be a good change in their life. People don't want to change. It doesn't matter if you're from middle America or you're from, the West Coast or East Coast, no one wants to change. And I feel like people that, live in these like hunting, steak and potato type cultures, they're basically brainwashed, as we all are. The milk commercials, like milk makes strong bones, and it's like, actually milk gives you osteoporosis. It does the opposite of give you strong bones because it leaches the calcium out of your bones to alkalize your body. So I was one of those people. I drank milk growing up, and it's not their fault. It's really the media, and it's the meat and dairy industry that spends billions, literally with a B, every single year, influencing people through online articles and news broadcasts and radio and all like stuff that you don't even notice that you're seeing and hearing.
Bacon wrapped shrimp on the American Heart Association as a menu item.
Don't even get me started.
I saw that on What the Health, and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, What the Health does a good job. If we were to go down that rabbit hole, it goes very, very deep. But I just encourage people, it's hard to do your own research now because of all the falsities that are online put out by different companies. Yeah. I tell everyone to watch What the Health, Forks Over Knives, Earthlings, Cowspiracy. And one big thing about the environment that I always try and tell people see the planet and the environment as something that's like not their problem.
Yeah. Like, but they have kids at the same time. I get so annoyed.
I know it's bad for the environment, but that's like, that doesn't affect them. But I'm like,
I'll have
5
kids.
You understand all the things that we are as a species doing to the planet's going to survive. We just won't be able to survive on the planet that we've created. Like this Earth is going to be here long after humanity is gone. But we're creating a system where, the clean waterways are almost gone now. Our ocean is going to be fishless in 25 years, what we depend on. We're running out of forest. We're killing the things that create oxygen for us. Like you can't live without oxygen. You just simply can't. The planet can live just fine without oxygen. Yeah. We human beings can't do that.
I like that perspective. I've never heard anyone say that.
It's crazy to me because people, they always detach themselves from it like it's something that doesn't affect them. And I'm like, literally, you're not killing something else. You're killing yourself. Like we need the oxygen, we need the clean water, we need the proper temperature to survive. Humans are actually very fragile creatures. Like if we don't have clean water for like 2 days, we die.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So
naked and afraid.
I try to
they die quick, like they're out.
I try and tell people that. I'm like, it's not even like you don't want to be selfless and do it for the animals. Fine, do it for your own self. Like it's literally humanity. It's every single person on earth. That includes you, your parents, your kids, your nephews, like your dogs, your pets, everyone. So try and make the connection. That's like the biggest thing.
Yeah. When it comes to climate change, how do you, because climate change has become such a political thing.
Yes.
That opponents are using it to, politicize their campaign. But for me, I don't understand how whoever you vote for, whatever, how you don't notice that erosion happens, or how you don't notice that species are dying when people are doing dangerous species.
It's a mass extinction.
Yeah, how currently. You don't know that if those things can be true, how maybe you can, like the climate can be affected.
Yes.
Because I'm from Louisiana, so we've watched like towns just go underwater.
Yeah.
So it's like a normal thing to watch the earth change, and it changed very quickly.
It's easier for people to think that it's made up, because then if you think you can't do anything about it, it's less stressful too.
True.
You know, if you're like, oh, well, it's just Earth, it's climate, that's just what happens. It's nothing to do with what we're doing. So we can just go about living how we're living, which isn't the case. Like, yes, of course, climate changes and the world changes, but right now it's changing because of us. It's changing because of what we're doing to the planet, what we're putting out into the planet, what we're taking from the planet. And I always say, listen, don't even argue over whether it's real or it's not real.
Mm-hmm.
You can see things are happening.
Yeah.
If you can make a difference and you can make these steps towards cleaner air and cleaner water, what's the downside?
What
you know
is
what
the
I mean?
downside?
There's no downside. Like, it helps with climate change. Great. Climate change doesn't exist. You still have cleaner air. You still have cleaner water. You still have lower temperatures. There's literally no downside. Like, the downside of not doing it is that we all die as a species. Every single person on Earth literally dies.
Yeah.
So
our kids, especially our kids.
Yes,
because
kids,
people having children, and
grandkids.
I don't understand. The children part pisses me off because I don't get how people can have children and then make no effort to do something for the world.
Yeah.
And maybe I feel like sometimes my effort isn't even great, but I'm like, I'm not making a kid yet.
Yeah, you know, it is worse, of course, if you have children, because, you know, if you're also not educating your children on what's going on in the world, you're doing two disservices. One is, you know, you're putting more people on this planet that are doing damage because they don't know any better.
Mm-hmm.
And two, they're not going to have a planet to look forward to, and their kids aren't going to have a planet because it's going to be 150 degrees in Los Angeles and we're not going to be able to grow food, and it's never going to rain because it's flooding over in another part. And it's like, so if you have children, it's very important that you educate yourself and at least try to make a difference. And and everyone, you know, always says, oh, like one person is not going to make a difference. Like, you being vegan isn't going to make a difference. I'm
yes,
like,
it does.
Of course it does.
Yes,
it's
it does.
like, that's the only difference that you can make. Literally, is like, change what you eat, change how you go about your daily tasks, and it makes a massive, massive amount of difference. And not only in your own personal stuff, but the people that you influence. Like, I have, you know, so many friends that have gone vegan and stopped using straws and have reusable water bottles and stuff because I've led by example and taught them about it. And so now they do it, and then they go back into their world and they teach their mom, their dad, their sister, their best friend, their boyfriend, and it spreads so quickly and it makes such a dramatic change. Like, that's really the only way that we're going to make a difference is, you know, stopping the demand of all of these products and things that are destroying the planet and killing these animals. And you know, it makes a huge difference. Every single person on the choices that they make every day. I'm like, think about living for 80 years. The food that you eat 3, 4, 5 times a day, every single day, 365 days a year for 80 years. Like, you don't think that's going to make a difference? Like, a huge difference.
And then your little clan of like 5 people with you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then like the people around you. And like I said, you plant a seed, it spreads like wildfire. I mean, my one really good friend, Tina Louise, like I mentioned, she went vegan about 1.5 years ago, and she's a huge activist now. And there are hundreds of people that have gone vegan now because she's been posting about it and talking about it and, you know, going to these vegan festivals with me and meeting people that are like, I went vegan because I saw you post, you know, the slaughterhouse video or you know, some fact about veganism.
Yeah.
And so now all those hundreds of people are going out. And so that's another reason why vegans talk so much about being vegan, because look at the impact it has.
Right.
Yes, it will piss some people off, but like, eventually it will wear you down. It wore me down. I didn't want to go vegan when I first went vegan at all.
Really?
Yeah. I used to eat so much cheese and eggs, and like, I didn't want to go vegan. And
cutting
it just
that
like
cheese is hard. Not cutting the cheese is easy, but like quitting the cheese is very hard. Because I tried a vegan diet for like a few months. I'm still very non-meat, and I'm doing but like that bread products made with milk and eggs are really tough.
You know what though? Most bread is vegan.
Oh,
you can get
Oreos are vegan, right?
Oreos are vegan.
Okay,
most bagels are vegan. I eat so many bagels. Pasta. The only pasta that isn't vegan is like freshly made. It will usually have egg in it, but like all the dried pasta you buy in stores that you make is all vegan already.
Yeah.
So people consume so much vegan food already they don't even know, and they're like, "Ew, vegan food." I'm like, do you eat an apple? Do you eat a peanut butter and jam sandwich? Yeah. Do you eat like spaghetti with, you know, tomato sauce on it? Like, there's so many things that you're already eating that are vegan. You don't even think about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, vegan cheese now has made huge strides because I'm a huge cheese person. Follow Your Heart is so good. They have shreds that like melt so you can make pizza and like everything else. They have slices for grilled cheese. I make grilled cheese all the time. Chow Kite Hill does a cream cheese that's like the best cream cheese I've ever had. And soft cheese is like ricotta and stuff for doing like stuffed pasta shells.
Oh, that
Trust
would be
me,
cool.
I don't miss any food.
Yeah.
I make absolutely everything. Like I eat mac and cheese. I even do like hot wings.
Oh my God, fun. I love the Veggie Grill vegan wings. Like the Veggie Grill.
They have pretty good ones too.
Those are so good. I want to ask a question for my listeners. So
Yes.
if you are in a smaller town, you're in middle America and you're trying to do something better for the environment or animals or even your own diet or those around you, like what are your steps or your tricks or hints to tell
For
people
sure.
like that?
So it's not an all or nothing thing. Sometimes people are like, oh, I tried, I failed, so I just went back to eating normal. Every single time you put something in your mouth, it makes a difference. So it doesn't have to be an all or nothing. The more fruits and veggies and grains and legumes and non-animal products that you consume, the better. The other thing is that ask your restaurants and your grocery stores. If there is a demand for something, people will supply it. So if you go in and you say, hey, do you have this, Gardein vegan chicken wings, and they don't have it, every time you ask, they tell someone. And if you request it enough, grocery stores will start carrying it.
That's a good idea.
So like I said, my family lives in this super tiny little town, and my mom went into a grocery store and constantly requested a couple different vegan products, and now they're all there. And they're selling out like crazy. So now they're like, oh, wow, look at these vegan products. They're selling out. They're ordering more.
Oh, yeah.
And so it just takes someone to ask. And same with restaurants. I don't know if you notice, like in LA, all these restaurants that aren't vegan, but people are like, oh, do you have vegan options? Do you have vegan? Now they have a vegan menu.
They all have a vegan
Now
option.
they have a vegan menu because the demand is there. But if people aren't asking for it, then they don't know. And also for restaurants, I tell people this all the time because when I travel, I go to places outside of LA that don't have any vegan options on the menu. And I just tell them, I'm vegan. What can you do? And they'll be like, oh, okay, let's talk to the chef. And so they'll come back and be like, oh, make these crazy stir fries and pastas and like amazing food. You just have to ask for it. Like, don't be shy. Don't just like look at what's on the menu. Like, that's not the only thing that they can make for you. Like, it's hospitality. Like, they'll make you whatever you
know that
want.
better than anyone.
So you just got to ask for it. And like I said, every little bit makes a huge difference. So don't be discouraged if you break and you have, cheese one day. It's like every single meal makes a huge difference. So just keep at it.
Wow. I think you're really so incredible. Because to me, you started out this model on TV, stunning glamour, all this stuff. You're still the same, but look at what you're actually doing. You're a business owner now. You've had successful businesses. You're trying to make an impact on the world. You're educating all of these people. Like, what would you say? How do you deal with like haters who say, oh, you're just some hot girl, shut up. But look at all the hats you wear. Like, look at all of what you've just taught or explained to me. Like, what would you say to those people?
It happens all the time. And I know you get this too, because you're on Instagram and, you post bikini photos. As soon as there's a bikini photo on your Instagram, you're immediately only a bikini Instagram model. You do nothing else in your life. And I get that a lot when, I'll do little lives or videos about, politics or environmentalism or, something that's happening in the news, climate change, veganism, anything. And people are like, you don't know anything. And I'm like, actually, I have been educating myself on this for 6 years. My guess is that I know much more than you do on this topic. But it's very, very, it's difficult when people come at you and treat you like you don't know what you're talking about. It's very overwhelming. But I just try and always stick with the facts. That's what I say. I'm like, I stick with the facts. I always respond and just, list factual stuff that's not my personal opinion. So you can't, argue with me. I'm not a scientist. You're totally right. But here are some scientists and here are their studies that you can reference. So I just try and stick to facts and send it to people. And I even last year I took the plant-based nutrition course at Cornell to like further educate myself on, the scientific part of it, of what it does to our bodies, especially with disease, because I want to be able to educate people to the best of my ability because I get a lot of questions about stuff. And sometimes I'll post something like a fact that's pretty well known and people will be like, you're so dumb. I'm like,
am I?
It takes so much strength to just be like, actually, sir, if you just go onto the World Health Organization website, you will see that meat causes cancer. You don't take my word for it. Sure. You want to think that I'm stupid, by all means. But please educate yourself. And like sometimes I'll send references. I'll be like, read this and then come back at me and have this conversation, because I can't have this conversation with you until you've at least have an under degree in all these topics. And so it's challenging.
You just reminded me to do that. I used to be more clever and do that on Facebook. One time someone commented, he told me I was a slut and I had AIDS or something. And I sent him, I was like, actually, here's the, American Association of STDs, whatever it was. And I was like, this is how you have sex. Maybe you should do a little bit of research, because it's clear you don't know how this works.
Yeah.
And it was a really good comeback.
Because facts, just like you can't, well, I want to say you can't argue with them. However, some people choose to. But most of the time, it shuts people up pretty quickly. And so that's kind of my default. And it allows me to try and like separate myself from being offended and not feeding into that like angry vegan stereotype that people make of us.
Yes, and that's what I wanted you to come on especially to bring. Because you're so stunning and you've got such an impact and such a message to send. And I think people always typecast a vegan as an angry person. And why does sexy have to limit you from being all of these other things?
I don't know. I don't have answers for that. And that's kind of what we're going with this business. Like all of the investors that we have are hot, and some of them are models, some of them are, adult film stars. Some of them, they're all beautiful and have no problem showing their body. And I want people to know, like, you can be smart, you can be a business owner, you can make a change in the world, and you can be hot and be proud of your body at the same time. Like, you don't have to be modest to be respected or taken seriously or to be well educated. It's like these guys sitting back in their like lawn chair with their beer resting on their stomach that have, no idea about any of the stuff we're doing, shit talking us, being like, you're just a bikini model. I'm like, what are you?
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not just a bikini model, but even still, that's amazing. You work hard enough on your body, and it's like being a model is not an easy thing in itself. But every single girl that I know, you included, that model or, have these big social media followings, it's like, you don't fall into followers. No, you have to work on that shit. Yeah. You don't fall into just knowing how to take photos, knowing what to post, when to post, fall into having this like a good body and perfect hair and makeup. Like, you work on that stuff.
Meeting the right people is so much work.
Networking, getting out there. It's like there are so many beautiful girls that don't have big Instagram followers. It's not just because people are like, oh, you're just a hot girl, you post big. No.
Yeah, here's a check.
You're cute. Exactly. I wish that's what happened. Like, I would just spend all day working out and like always like getting all ready if people just paid me to be cute. Like, that's not how it works. And like I said, it's something that I want to break the mold of people thinking if you show skin as a woman, you are just either, a slut or stupid. Like, you can't literally be anything else. So we're really trying hard with this company to break that mold. And once it gets a little closer to being open, everyone will meet more of our investors and our owners and see, some of the really cool stuff that we're working on as a team, and working to, get rid of that stereotype that's attached to us.
No, I really can't wait. So do you have a name already? Here we go.
It's called, this is the first time I've announced it.
Exclusive.
Very exclusive. It's called Sugar Taco.
Oh my God, I love it.
Thank you.
So cute.
And we do have a social media set up. It's Sugar Taco LA, I think, is our Twitter and our Instagram. And it's at the beginning stages, but if you want to follow, you can kind of watch us grow. We're really going to be posting a lot about, behind the scenes stuff of what we're doing and really how hard it is to build and start a business, especially when you're doing it, hands-on, doing it yourself. And who all of our amazing investors and team members are. And, we're doing tastings. We're going to Mexico to taste tequila, and we're doing all sorts of really fun stuff. So I'm not, we hold meetings on the beach. Like, we don't need to have like a boardroom and suits and ties. Like, that's not how business is done in 2018. So we don't try and make ourselves seem like something we're not. We're just like, let's go, swim in the ocean, and then we'll chill in our bikinis with some tequila and have a business meeting. Like,
I love
and we come up with amazing creative stuff to do that way. And I don't think that it should be, set in any form of like, this is what you have to do to be a business owner.
Right.
So
Oh my gosh.
Lots of cool stuff.
You're really such an inspiration. I know
Right
that's
back at
cheesy,
you,
but you
gorgeous.
really are. I can't wait to see how your restaurant turns out. I can't wait to see everything you do in the next coming years because
Thank
you've already
you.
accomplished so much. Where can all my listeners follow you? I'm sure they already do.
I am Jayde Nicole with a Y, JaydeNicole on everything.
Perfect. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we're all going to give you a follow like I already do. But thank you so much for coming.
Of course. Thank
Best
you for
of luck.
having me.
Can't wait to have a taco.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm so
100%.
excited. Thank you guys for listening to another episode of Eyes Up Here. You can catch this filmed on eyesupheretv.com.